Yo ho and a bottle of fun. Here we are, Pandora Box Platinum. That's right, guys. We're doing another video here. It's been a little bit, taking a little summer action, but now we're gonna play a little bit of SMB3, right? SMB, Super Mario Bros. 3, another archivable title on our archive abilities. Okay. Now, real quick, a lot of people ask, they're like, it's weird to play Super Mario Brothers on a joystick. Well, the original arcade actually had Super Mario Bros. The arcade one with a joystick. Okay, so just to show you, you can actually play with the joystick and without. Okay, so you can select 2-player. Okay, and obviously you can't really map the buttons per se on here. It doesn't work right on this, okay? Like, if you want to try to use it, it does feel a little weird, okay? Because these buttons kind of like, the B is, this is the short jump, all right? This is long jump is E. So if you could run in here and you're used to this, the D and E, yes, you can play it. Like, it is definitely possible. It does feel a little floaty, just because Super Mario Bros. 3 was never actually played on a joystick. But hey, you can do it. So let me go to exit. Okay. Now, one of the key things to understand here on Pandora Box Platinum is not all controllers will work. Now, we get a lot of people who say, well, if I use my USB controller, can I plug it in? Oh, will it work? Okay, we say, we don't know. Okay, it's unsupported. We haven't tested it. It may or may not work. For instance, some people may want to use a PS4 controller on playing Super Mario Bros. 3, and it doesn't start, or something like that happens. Well, guess what? It's not, if you can't start it, that means that controller is not compatible. We haven't tested with that controller. And a lot of the times, if you watch our videos, we troubleshoot and we show you the right controllers. Sometimes they'll even be in the light item. Now, the preferred controller for Super Mario Bros. 3 is our USB Super Nintendo style controller, which is pretty cool, right? You can use basically the 4 buttons, right? And have that. Or we also recommend something cool like our wired, like, basically it's it's an aftermarket DualShock, style controller, where it has the analog functions, has directionals, it has all the buttons that represent it, and it can work for other games that are emulatable. Okay, so again, this is emulation, folks. Emulation, meaning that you're not going to be able to use 6 buttons on all the games, because some games require different button sets, and you're going to have to map them. Now, let me show you again real quick. Real simple. You can go in here, okay, and press the CFG button on the back. There's a little button that brings up this menu. This is your version information on the bottom, okay? So if you see this right here, right now, this tells you your version. We do upgrades on the firmware. If you have an older version, maybe it's not going to function exactly the same way. There aren't too many changes, but we do software changes, and we usually let everybody know when we upgrade the software, okay? So let me just show you that you're going to plug it into the first slot, okay? And again, not all controllers work for everything. Now, another thing to notice, it's important, is this controller isn't going to respond as a 1-player controller. Now, we've shown this on other videos where you can make this the 3rd-player controller. But right now, this is actually going to be I want this to be the 1st player. I want this to respond as a 1st-player controller. So you're going to hit input settings, US gamepad port from, you can change it 1, 2, 3, 4. But this is going to be player from player 1 right now, meaning that this is what I'm. So if you had this on 3, let's just say you had a 3 and 4 player setup, right? And you had this on 3 and you forgot that you left it on 3. This isn't going to respond as player 1. So if you go into a game that has player 1 and player 2, and there's no player 3s, it's not going to respond the right way, okay? So you got to pay attention. You got to troubleshoot. This is a multi-scalable retro home arcade machine that plays thousands of different software, and being able just to press one button, we made it pretty simple. enough to where you don't have to get all these extra things and download all this stuff and do a configuration. But on other games, you might have to do a little configuration because it's just not supported. There's not one size fits all for 6 buttons. It just doesn't work that way. Okay. So we're gonna go to save and exit, and we can go here to 2D Super Mario Bros. We'll hit A on this one because this is always the joystick. The wired setup is always the select there. Okay. So here, if you want to select 2-player game, see, select. So we can select 2-player game if we want. All right. And this now selects it. Okay. And this button is run, I think. This button is jump. You can't really map these for the older consoles at the moment. That's like a short jump. But this is run and jump, so the A and the B on this controller. So again, this works in our controllers. We've tested these. So if you want to cheap out and you don't want to get our controllers, then that's, and it doesn't work, then there's nothing we can do. We've tested these controllers, we configured these to work with it, and they just work, okay? That's it. That's how it is. We can't troubleshoot other controllers, no matter where you got them. Okay, so now this guy dies, right? So now player 2 will come in, right? So Luigi. Now, obviously, this can't control player 2, right? But now this is player 2. This is technically player 2. This can't control because that's still player 1. This is player 2. So you can literally select it and you can play as player 2 right here. Now, if you got our hub, you can literally break out, okay? You can break out and just use 2 wired or wireless control pads. So again, fully scalable. How you want to do it, it's up to you. But again, if you don't follow these directions and you don't want to put in the little bit of work that you got to do to make it work, then you're going to get frustrated because maybe the game won't start. Maybe, maybe it stutters or maybe it does something crazy. Again, this is a work in progress. We're the only fully supported multi-home arcade console on the market, meaning we're always working towards making software work correctly, making the potential emulation work well with the unit. Nobody else is going to give you the service and the usability in the market, period. Okay, so we're doing a really good job. Hopefully you guys can enjoy these classics the way we enjoy these classics. All right, and stay retro, my friends. There's more to come. Talk to you next time.